Town Board meeting Wednesday, January 22, 2025 at 6:30 PM. Would please silence your cell phones. And note there are two emergency exits in the rear of the room and one to my right. If you would, please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing and remember those who are serving in harm's way. Thank you. Okay, we'll start with public input. Anyone like to come up and speak on behalf of any of the agenda items set forth? But before you do, we're going to adjourn number 4 and we're going to adjourn number 5 until February 12th to see if we can arrange and straighten these two local laws out. Okay, come on up. State your name and address, please.
My name is Tom Bazigian. I'm at 8575 Old Town Path. So several of us have been wondering about the incident that happened with Mr. Aragano and basically the attempt to remove him from office. The incident was in the newspaper. I saw Mr. Karp on television. Ms. Hogan sort of demanded that Mr. Aragano not show up to Aragano. I'm very sorry, show up for work. Anyway, that's all past us now. For a few months, we've been talking about it. And sort of in a Sherlock Holmes sort of way, how could this have happened? What possibly could have caused this to happen? So in the first, there's 3 scenarios that we've come up with. The first one, you were all there. And if you were all there, then you all knew about it. And if you all knew about it and didn't do anything about it, you're all complicit. But now, after the fact, well, as Mr. Aragano said in the beginning, it didn't happen, but after the fact, it's proven that it didn't happen. So you weren't complicit. That's good. The second scenario is that one or more of you heard a rumor about the town supervisor and then acted on that rumor. Now, those of you who are not an attorney or a clerk of the court might not know that rumors are secondhand knowledge or hearsay, and it's not a fact. One of you is an attorney, Mr. Karp, and you would know better. So if you either knew or you didn't know. And if you didn't know, you heard a rumor. How did you know about it? Not you, all 4 of you. How did you know? But it's a rumor. You would know that hearsay is not fact, and you should not have spread that rumor. What happened is that the supervisor's name was impugned and his reputation damaged. This is a serious, serious consequence. The third possible scenario, you weren't there because it didn't happen. You didn't hear the rumor. One or more of you created the rumor. This is the most serious scenario. How could this have gotten to the point that it did? That his name was impugned by some former employee and you all, you 4, not the town supervisor. Those of us that know the supervisor know he's a good guy. He has the town at heart. He's very experienced. He's a visionary and good with the budget. This is a rhetorical question. How did this happen? It's a rumor. I have a long dissertation here. It might go more than 3 minutes, but I think I'll just sort of cut it short. It's not acceptable that this sort of political horseplay happens in Cicero, New York. This is not Washington, D.C. You 4 politic to remove improperly the supervisor. And now, hopefully, nothing improper happened. If the 4 of you actually conspired to get rid of him, I think this is a very serious charge. And my hope is that the town attorney actually investigates it and finds out who did what, when, and why. I thank you very much for letting me speak.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? Okay. You want to say something, John? You must, I know you can't help yourself, but go ahead.
Excuse me?
You heard me. Go ahead.
No, you know what? I'll wait till discussion when it's more appropriate.
Sure. Anyone else?
I would just like to clarify a fact. I don't know if everybody knows, but we don't come to the office every day. So only the supervisor does. The rest of the town councilors work other full-time jobs and we do things virtually. So I was just going to state that fact. That's all.
Also, the complaint was filed by a former employee, and all we did was authorize an investigation when a complaint was filed that also alleged very seriously that HR did not properly address it. That represents serious liability to the town, and we had a duty. But I guess since Mr. Bezigian pointed out that I'm an attorney, I just want to throw something out there since it's been put out there that we fabricated this. Ms. Van Epps' affidavit was sworn. That means that if she lied, it was perjury. And that means that if we were complicit in it, that's suborning perjury, which you might say, is that a big deal? Any lawyer will tell you people commit perjury in court all the time. They're never prosecuted. But as an attorney, suborning perjury for me would be a very serious offense. I could be disbarred, okay? Even if it has nothing to do with a court case, even if I'm never charged criminally. So for me to be involved, even if I wasn't directly involved, even if I knew about it, and something being fabricated would mean that I would have to put my career, the means of support for my 3 young children on the line for this. You really think, Mr. Bezigian, or anyone, that I'd be willing to risk my career and the support of my family over this? I wouldn't be. I'd set myself on fire for my kids. I would never risk what I do to support them and my family for anything political. Whatever happened or why ever Ms. Van Epps did it, or said what she said, it had nothing to do with this board conspiring or doing anything to fabricate it. The suggestion is absurd, frankly, sir.
Thank you. Sir Hogan, number 3.
Move for the adoption of a resolution approving abstracts number 2 dated 1/15/2025, abstract number 3 dated 1/22/2025.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Vote no or abstain, passed. Ms. Deluzio?
Move for the adoption of a resolution to deem the following items listed as surplus and send to auction with Auctions International.
Items as posted, you said?
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote no or abstain, passed.
Zoning planning. Oop.
I think we need to just open and adjourn those 2 items to a date, sir.
Okay, well, the public hearing for number 4, abolish the office of the receiver of taxes. We'll open that up and we move to waive the reading of the legal notice posted and advertised in the proper time.
Second.
Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
Vote no or abstain, passed, and we'll open it at
6:37.
6:37, and we'll adjourn this to February 12th.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and the next one as well, the one for the public hearing for local law to the town of Cicero succession of authority modernizing law in relation to the qualifications and duties of the persons exercising the authority of deputy supervisor. And again, this was posted in as well, Tracy, correct? Okay. And I wish to waive the advertised in proper time. I wish to waive the reading.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
This time I'd like to open up the public hearing at
6:38.
6:38 and adjourn it until February 12th.
So moved at 6:30 PM.
6:30 PM.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Go ahead, go ahead to number.
Zoning planning, planning board legal retainer agreement with Germain and Germain LLP. Move the adoption resolution that the Cicero Town Board approves the retainer agreement with Germain LLP for legal services to the planning board. The services will be provided for the period from January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025 at an annual rate of $6,500 to be paid in a monthly installment of $541.66, and for the supervisor to execute the agreement on behalf of the town board, budget code 002-80-40-80-0000.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Vote no or abstain, passed.
Planning Board Engineering Retainer Agreement with Ramble America's Engineering Solutions, Inc. Move for the adoption of resolution that the Cicero Town Board approves the retainer agreement with Ramble America's Engineering Solutions, Inc. for engineering services to the Planning Board. The services will be provided for the period from January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025 at an annual rate of $3,500 to be paid in accordance with the Professional Master Services Agreement between the Town of Cicero and Ramble America's Engineering Solutions, Inc. And for the supervisor to execute the agreement on behalf of the Town Board, budget code 002-8020-4040-0000.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Vote no or abstain, passed.
Zoning Board of Appeals Legal Services Agreement with Kerwin Law Firm, PC. Move for the adoption of resolution that the Cicero Town Board approves the retainer agreement with Kerwin Law Firm, PC for legal services to the Zoning Board of Appeals. The services will be provided for the period from January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025 at an annual rate of $5,000 to be paid in quarterly installments for the supervisor to execute the agreement on behalf of the town board. Budget code 002-8010-4000-0000.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Vote no or abstain, passed.
Move for the adoption of resolution amending the 2025 petty cash allotment to remove the central petty cash for $100.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Vote no or abstain, passed. Discussion. You guys got anything for discussion tonight?
No.
No, oh, go ahead.
I met with nothing to do with anything that was talked about already. I talked to a resident. This was last weekend, and when the snow thaws into the spring, we should probably start looking again at the ground at Riverside Park. So
At where?
the Riverview Park up in Brewerton,
What do you mean? Ground?
the riverfront. I apologize.
But
Yeah.
look at what up there?
The ground is still sinking in certain areas. Yeah,
Where they
we
did
need to
some
look
work
at
or
that.
something before?
No, I think it's just over time erosion. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I was told. So we should probably look at it.
So discussion tonight, I want to ask the board tonight if they're willing to reinstate my deputy supervisor, if there's any interest in it, or if you're planning on going forward with a public hearing to do this. I'm just asking, is there any kind of resolution to come up with this? You've abolished the position, correct?
Mhm.
Right?
Yes.
Are you willing to reinstate the position? Or are you still in the position where you think the person should be a board member?
I think the person should be a board member.
So, and you say that the person should be a board member because
Because they've been elected.
you got been elected, okay. Okay, so I got a few things to say tonight, that the New York State law governing town governance grants the town supervisor the authority to appoint a deputy supervisor of their choice. This is what the law states. The provision ensures that the supervisor has the flexibility to select someone they trust to represent them in their absence and fulfill the duties of the office if necessary. However, recent developments in the town of Cicero have sparked controversy over the law and its application. At the organizational meeting, exercised the right and appointed Mr. Jamie Pardee to the deputy supervisor position. This decision was made based on my belief that Mr. Pardee and his ability to represent the town effectively and to step in should I be unavailable to perform my duties. However, at last week's board meeting, 4 board members took an unprecedented action, and they voted to remove Mr. Pardee from the position as deputy supervisor. And 1 board member, Mr. Bacala, went as far as to abolish it in its entirety. Adding to the situation, Mr. Carp expressed his belief that the role of deputy supervisor should be held by a board member, called for a public hearing on the matter, which should have been held tonight. This action has been taken, these board members undermining the clear intent of New York State law, which places the power to appoint deputy supervisor solely in the hands of the town supervisor. The residents of Cicero elected me to serve as their supervisor and trusted me to make decisions in the best interests of our town. This includes choosing a deputy supervisor who would not only support the town's leadership, but also represent the community if the need arose. My choice for Mr. Pardee reflects my confidence in his dedication and capabilities to serve in the critical role. This situation raises important questions about the limits of board authority and the balance of the power within the town government, and importance in adhering to the law. The upcoming public hearing will be the opportunity for residents to express their views on the issue and reaffirm the principles of democratic leadership and accountability. As your elected town supervisor, I remain committed upholding the trust you have placed in me and advocating for what is the best for our town. Again, I say the best for our town. The events of the past week highlighted the need for clarity and respect for the laws that guide our governance, and I encourage all residents to attend the public hearing, which is not going to happen today. I also reached out to the New York State Associations of Towns, and I found that that the law that they're referring to, the 5-1, is a law for an emergency, in case of emergency, which is true, right? So they're trying to change that law. They already abolished the other law. And I was told that I needed to contact our attorney, and because somebody obviously knows about this. And I find that the email that came in that said, I asked her if she can give me some legal advice about the abolishment of this area. And she stated that, let me read this to you. So it says, it looks like the town attorney received the information as well as our policy is to refer to the town attorney. He or she can contact me with the questions. And I said, I recently spoke to the town attorney who stated that he doesn't know anything about this. And actually, when I reached out to Mr. Germain, he really didn't know about the local law, about this new law. And this is why we're going to the next level to take it off the agenda today. But I want to bring you back to on Wednesday, September 2020, September 9th, 2020. Motion concerning removal of the deputy supervisor. A motion was made by Mr. Councilor Bacallo. Resolved that the Cicero Town Board eliminate the office in the position of the deputy supervisor effective immediately. A vote was taken and the deputy supervisor's position was eliminated. The funny story of this is that the current town board says that it should be a town board member because they don't trust a person who is not elected official or a board member. But Mr. Cushman, if you recall, was a counselor on the board prior to this. Okay? And a few years back. I find it kind of interesting. Let's fast forward this to 6 months later. Wednesday, February 10th, 2021. Now we got a resolution to reestablish the position of the deputy supervisor. This time, Councilor Carp over here introduces the following resolution. Whereas the Cicero Town Board passes a resolution abolishing the office of a deputy supervisor on September 9th, 2020. Whereas the town board recognizes the need for a deputy supervisor to serve in the absence of the ability of the supervisor to act. Whereas the town now wishes to formally establish the office of the supervisor by resolution pursuant to town law section 42, confirming or conferring the same and only authority of the office as detailed as authorized by section 42 of the town law. Resolved, the town formally reestablishes the office of the deputy supervisor pursuant to the provision of town law section 42. Board comments. This is just an overview. Board comments were had. Mr. Bacallo stated that they've had discussions. They decided that they could put this on a referendum in the next election and give the citizens the ability to vote on the position. He feels this should go out to the citizens and does not know why they are putting this on this evening. He is unclear about why this is such a rush because this is not why they had discussed what they have discussed in the past. He said he is against the item and stands by what the current code has written in their own code law in section, the ability or absence of supervisor in section 5-1. They, as a town board, have the ability to reappoint an acting supervisor anytime the supervisor cannot act. So now that the position was reestablished, Supervisor Meyer appointed, and if I'm not mistaken, it was Bill Bradley, who's not even a town board member. He was a town board member. He was before, right? He wasn't at that time, right? Okay. Let's look at the whole picture. You know, Mr. Bacallo doesn't like that doesn't like that Supervisor Meyer had asked him to help with some things behind the scenes, right? He doesn't. Mr. Bacallo gets the votes to remove the deputy supervisor's position. 6 months later, Mr. Karp has a resolution reinstating the deputy supervisor's position, which allows Supervisor Meyer to appoint someone, and he was not a board member at that time. Mr. Bacallo, who was furious, because I remember this quite like it was yesterday, he asked that the local law 5-1 be used, then inquired about the real reason. Mr. Karp gave his dissertation like he usually does, then states, after discussion with counsel and while thinking about the potential necessity of having a deputy supervisor, these circumstances, which they were reasonable compromise, right? They made a compromise, sounds like. He said, good government, good politics require compromise. In this case, he brought this resolution to the board. Mr. Bacallo then stated, so basically the situation that is going on because the supervisor is mad and is refusing to sign the contract. I remember this clearly. Refused to sign the police contract. I remember it. I so remember this. And unless he gets his wishes, which Bacallo was pretty much right? So Mr. Karp said, this is your characterization, Mr. Bacallo. So seems these folks like September 8th, 2020, Bacallo removes the deputy supervisor, gets the votes. February 10th, 2021, Karp reinstates the deputy supervisor. As you can see there, that these moves are all political, okay? And moves by Karp and Bacallo again, right? Again, in 2025, more political nonsense to the town of Cicero that shouldn't even be in front of this group and shouldn't even be seeing any of this stuff. I have work to do every single day here, and I do it with pride and joy. And I want you to know that I take care of this town like it should be taken care of if it was my own house. So, by the way, Mr. Bacallo, section 5-1 has to do with disaster and emergency, and section 42 is state law of deputy supervisor. So that's all I have to say. If you guys have anything to say, but you can agree, John, because you know you were there and that's what was said.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting you didn't read the rest. I'm not going to go on for as long as he did. You didn't read the rest of my comments. You know as well as I do that you and I spent a lot of time negotiating a police contract that contains some extremely important items to ensure the future survival and the long-term sustainability of the police department, and that the only way that Mr. Meyer, who's the only person empowered under the Taylor law to sign it, would be if we reinstated the deputy supervisor position. I made it pretty clear that I was doing essentially under duress and in the best interest of the town and the police department, because I believe then, as I do now, that we need a police department, and that, again, that contract made some changes that were necessary to ensure the long-term sustainability of it, including addressing medical insurance upon retirement, which has resulted in significant cost savings to the people of the town. Didn't want to reinstate the deputy supervisor position, but that was what it took to get the contract signed and avoid arbitration. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. I anticipated that you'd bring that up, and my comments as to why I was doing it are reflected in the minutes of that meeting.
So you're not considering bringing back my deputy supervisor?
I was essentially, I mean,
I'm asking you this time, having discussion in a closed room?
we had no discussion about it. You never mentioned that it was blank. Okay. And, I mean, we can talk about it. I'm not, we'll deal with it next time.
I'm just asking.
State law provides for a lot of things, including municipal home rule law, which allows us significant flexibility in modifying state law. I have an opinion from the state comptroller that says that you can abolish.
I didn't ask that question. I'm asking you, would you sit down in a room with me and discuss this and come up with a?
Mr. Aragano, and
Okay.
No.
Okay,
Let me finish. I'm always willing to discuss. I mean, anything, whether or not we're going to reach an agreement, but I've never refused, even when you and I have not been getting along in the past, I've never refused to discuss anything. So, but at this point, I mean, we've got this public hearing pending.
Yep.
If you want to make a, argument that it's illegal, that's fine. I've got plenty of research on it, but that's not for tonight.
I'm going to stay consistent You didn't mention my vote that night was also a no.
It was.
Yeah. Staying consistent, I do firmly believe, I did then, I do today, it should be an elected official town board, right? Deputy supervisor exists if the supervisor cannot act. We went a whole year without a deputy supervisor. So I just want everybody to be reminded of that. I don't agree with what is on the agenda. I do also think still it should go back to the residents of the town of Cicero to vote on, right? So again, being consistent with that. Unprecedented, I don't really, we did that before, so I don't really know what unprecedented with that was. But yeah, I remember I had a discussion. If something is created by a simple resolution, it can be changed by simple resolution. And in sometime in the 1970s, I remember we looked back to see how the position of deputy supervisor was created. It was created by simple resolution. And a part of my argument was also it should be not created by simple resolution. It should be created via an election of a referendum of the people, right? Therefore, it can't be changed or used in the future. So again, if I don't care who the individual is, I don't care if it's my mother, my father, they're not elected. They should not be the deputy supervisor, the person who stands in if the supervisor cannot act. That's what the deputy supervisor is supposed to be there for, according to New York State law.
Robert, could you confirm this? Does, our county executive, he is a deputy supervisor.
I don't know.
You don't know who he is? I don't believe he's elected either. I mean, it's kind of odd that,
They're appointed, Mr. Aragano. I know
That's
that's
right.
where,
That-
that's where you're
that's
trying to
correct.
go.
In
We're
some
not
capacity,
taking away the right of you to appoint. And I think that's where your argument is, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the argument is you being able to appoint. This isn't taking away that power for you to appoint.
no, but it should be, I should be able to appoint who I feel that would be, the best fit for my selection.
I got this from, I'd love to look up, I forget what it was, but it was a town down in the more towards, I think it was in Putnam or Ulster County. I looked on their website. I remember I talked to, our attorney and I said, wow, this is really nice because it's very clear. It says it is a town board member and it clearly delineates when it happens, right? When the supervisor can't act. I liked it. It was very clean. That's why I, again, stand and believe the way I do. So.
It is to the benefit of the town when it isn't just one person making decisions regardless. So I wasn't here for all of this argument that you portrayed. But I do stand firm that it is to the benefit of the town when there is a board making decisions because it's a better representation of whether it's disagreements or not, which disagreements have never scared me. I actually think it's to the benefit of the town. I have never shied away from a conversation from anyone on this board, including you, Supervisor Aragano. So I think it is to the town's benefit that it be board's decision, not just one person's decision. That is always to the benefit of the town.
Wait, board decision, what do you mean? You mean it should be a
It should
board?
not just be one person's decision. That it's not about what you trust. If we put it as an elected official, it's now the people who have had a say
But
as to who that person is.
No, that would still be my appointment.
That was. my
That's
proposal,
correct.
yes.
It'd still be my appointment.
Right, but as long as it's an elected official, then at least the people have had a say as to who that person is.
No, the person wouldn't select who it was. It would be a board member who they selected it would be a board member, yes, not, they would select who my deputy would be.
No, it would be a board member of your choice.
Correct. Okay. Is anybody else, any other comments up here? No, no, no. Oh, come up, it's Mr. Boyle, come on up.
Push the button. Right. Mike Boyle, Hebrides Trail. Elected official. You said the word elected official, elected official, elected official, elected official, elected official. You're all elected by the people. The deputy supervisor's position, basically, I guess you have to go back to the mid 2000s. We changed to a suburban town back in the mid-2000s under the Dzinski administration. He is no longer the CFO of the town when that happened. He became the CEO of the town. And he's able to look at the deputies within each individual department and assess their performance in the town, okay? Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense nominee, never a politician or an elected official, appointed by President Trump. Secretary of State Rubio, yes, politician, but he's appointed, okay? He goes through the process of approval. So why don't you guys take a look at it from this perspective? If you want to put Jamie Pardee in, you four vote, just like they do in Congress. The Senate votes to approve the nominee for the position, okay? Now, at the same time, too, if you read Section 42 and you read suburban town law, I think he does have the right under precedent to appoint whoever he wants.
The position exists.
Okay, and that's the next step. So the next position is you got rid of the deputy supervisor position, but you have to do it by referendum, just like you're doing the receiver of taxes piece.
No, we don't.
No.
No, we have,
Okay.
there's a state comptroller opinion that says if it was created by resolution, it can be abolished by resolution. You're incorrect.
Okay, but I'm just saying that the correct thing to do, and you're right, is to put it out for a referendum. Let the peoples decide how they want their government to be organized. Okay, that's number one. Mr. Bracao, you were totally against the supervisor position, the supervisor making that position. You wanted it to go out to referendum, correct? Back in 2021?
It was even before that. Before
2022.
It was my first term, like back in, I mean,
For me.
it was before, this argument from me existed for a while.
During
right?
Zambrano.
And
Okay.
and my thought is always, right? If the supervisor, the CEO cannot act, it's my opinion. If it goes to someone who's not elected, then, the next person to act in line, we're no longer America. That's what I firmly
Well,
believe.
I'm just saying it should go out to referendum. These are the things you put out to the people, let the people decide and let them make their decision of how their government should be organized. That's basically where I'm going. But you did make a comment about the qualifications of the person, okay, that they should have some knowledge of town hall. So I did some digging when I read the meeting minutes here online, and I wanted to hand some information to you because I think it's important, okay, if you don't mind my
Sure,
approach.
absolutely.
Print out some biography information here. This is basically what I read in your write-up you were about to propose. And I noticed in here that there's some things this. And this is just an example, okay? If you're the president of the school board, Mr. Marizio, you highlight you work at BOCES, but you don't even mention in your biography that you're a town board member.
Didn't expand all my experience.
Okay, well, hold on, read the front page. That's from the Board of Elections website. The LinkedIn information below there shows the town of Cicero as a volunteer position. You're not a volunteer, you're an elected official. The school board page shows you're not even on the town board because the school district actually encompasses the town of Salina, the town of Clay, and the town of Cicero. And I don't know why your biography omits the fact that you're not on the town of Cicero board. Why would the school district omit that?
So we have a rule that it's 3 minutes per person and you're now over 3 minutes.
Oh,
Ashley, can we've never obeyed those rules, so just let it roll.
Are
just
we
let it
doing
roll.
like a back and forth? Because we've never really
no, I'm-
had that be a rule
I'm just
either.
making
This is
this.
turning into an attack on the board, and I don't
No.
think this is what public input is.
My
Okay,
point,
okay,
my
okay.
point of the whole thing is this.
Time out. Listen up. Let Mike talk. Okay? Go ahead.
Again, this is an attack. It's an overview of looking for qualifications. I don't care if you're an elected official or not. I want the best person in the spot. Okay? If I could get Ellen Dershowitz here to be deputy supervisor, you wouldn't appoint him?
No, not.
He's
at
not an
all.
elected official.
No.
Well, I'm using it as an example, right? I mean, someone with that kind of qualifications, from Harvard Law School sitting here, you wouldn't appoint him as a deputy supervisor because the way it looks is you just don't want Jamie Pardee to be the deputy supervisor. That's the appearance here in the town. But it isn't. John.
It
No,
is because we
Listen, it
did this.
is.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No,
go
if
ahead.
you've listened, it is. And even the last time we reinstated it, it was essentially under duress. Like the reason why, like the whole argument ever since before I've been on the board has been about being a board member. And at least, well, I'm not even gonna go there. That's what the argument's been about.
Last time, it was an individual, right, who was voted on by the people. It was an individual who was voted, and they were voted on by the people. They did not win, right? The residents of the town of Cicero said they did not want this individual involved in Cicero government. This is not, it's the same thing. That individual was not an elected official. That's why I did what I did. The individual that was proposed, who was not on the agenda, mind you, just came out of the thin air, right? Which the supervisor has a right to do. I mean, I'm not criticizing them. I'm just saying it came out of nowhere. The individual, again, I can only speak for me, was not an elected official. It's pretty clear the way that I stand on this.
I understand it. And I'm looking at this from a
But
higher level.
you're saying it was an attack. That's where I get a little, I'm up here, I usually stay very quiet, right? But you attacked, right? And I've been very consistent
didn't
through
attack.
time. Very consistent.
I didn't
It's
attack.
not an elected, you did.
I did not. My point is that Pete Hegseth has no qualifications as far as an elected official to sit in the Department of Defense. It's an appointed position.
But as you pointed out, he's approved by elected officials, just like our planning.
But that's
board
my
members
point
and
here. So
members.
why don't, if you're going to rewrite a law as an auxiliary supervisor in an emergency situation, why don't you all vote on the person that's going to be put into that, as opposed to just try to change the law and then change one of the little qualifications to skirt it all?
I mean, honestly, well,
Because it's one of you
simply
have people.
put it out
One of you
referendum.
have to become the deputy supervisor the way it was written.
You can't, it's an appointment by the supervisor.
Correct.
Okay.
which is one of the reasons why when I wrote the law, I did not make it subject to board approval, that he could pick whichever one he wanted to, as long as it was a town board member
As long as it was a town board member.
who would be elected by the people and have knowledge and experience in town government.
But okay, well, I mean, that's a different.
But you know,
If
making
you're
it
too
subject to
scared to put it out the
confirmation.
referendum, then you're too scared. Now, Mr. Carver, I have to say
Sure,
this
I understand.
in your defense to the gentleman here. You're an officer of the court, and you're right. For you to sit there, to make the accusation on you or any of the board members, you conspired together. There's no evidence of that.
Thank you.
And I will say that when an attorney walks into a courtroom and they speak in front of a judge, it's taken as truth, everything that comes out of their mouth. And he is an officer of the court. So I want to just say that. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, anyone else?
Good evening, Judy Boyke. I wasn't planning on speaking, but listening to everything. First of all, the statement was made that you went a full year without a deputy supervisor. It states in the law that if a supervisor does not appoint, the board can appoint a deputy supervisor.
Yeah, we knew. I said that at the last meeting.
I
We were aware of
understand.
it.
No,
Yeah.
I understand that, but you went for a whole year and you guys didn't appoint one. Okay, that's my first point. My second point is you talked about it was blank on the organizational chart. Well, my name was on the organizational chart for the planning board. It was never discussed. Did you all look at my qualifications? I gave, each one of you received a copy of my application. And I did put an application in, like it says on the website. Anyone applying for a job must have an application put in. I foiled it. There were 2 applications, mine and Jamie Pardee, for the planning board. This is the 3rd year that I've been overlooked. I've been bypassed. And I spoke with the DA, Bill Fitzpatrick. He said, why don't you ask the board why you've been bypassed when you have full qualification, more so than even the chairperson on the board? Being a past supervisor, which I could qualify for deputy supervisor too.
No, because you don't sit up here.
Well, no, I have the experience and all of the application, but I'm not elected anymore. But anyway, so I'm asking, why was I bypassed?
Ms. Boyke, we have never, in my 10 years in this board, discussed hiring decisions, why we chose one candidate over another, I think it would be inappropriate and a poor practice to start now.
Well, then I would like to meet with each one of you individually and ask that very same question, because the EEOC is interested. Discrimination of age. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
So my name's Jamie Party, 5980 Chanella Road. You sit here and you talk about, what are we talking? When's the last time that a deputy supervisor actually served in place of the supervisor? Can anyone up there answer that question? Okay, so we can't really come up with an answer. So what are you talking? 0.01% chance that I would actually have to sit up there with you and make a decision?
You wouldn't have a vote.
Not a vote, but I would act in his position. You know, sign checks, you know. Okay, I do that now with my career as it is, which you have my application, my resume, which none of you have even asked for or looked at, but you made a decision on that. So my other question that I have, I could care less about the deputy supervisor position. I'm honored that Mike gave it to me. That's just a political thing that you can say you're a deputy supervisor. My question is, when it comes to planning board and all the other appointed positions, such as was just brought up right now, the people, the residents of the town are asking you as elected officials to do in the best interest of the town. They're asking you, how are you making your decisions in the best interest of the town? And you're refusing to give them that information. They want to know, how do you make the decision to appoint those people that are going to be doing things for the town that can affect the people of the town? You don't want to give them that information. You don't want to share that information with them. Why don't you want to share that information with them? They're asking you for it. That's good governance. Why wouldn't you?
As I just said, we don't discuss hiring decisions.
How do you make
or
these
one
decisions?
Candidate over another. There's a whole.
Do
host
they
of
have
factors.
credentials?
Yeah. What's that?
Do they have credentials? What are their credentials? How do you make the decision? I mean, do any of them, I mean, I have over 20 years experience dealing with local towns, governments, Army Corps engineer, and all that stuff. You haven't even looked at my resume.
We didn't receive your resume and you weren't.
Yes,
put up
you
for-
did,
no,
and you
no.
admitted that you didn't,
No.
it wasn't attached.
Yeah, which means I didn't
So you
receive
knew
it.
it was there, but you refused to ask
No,
for it because you
and
didn't
you
want
were
to
ne-
see it.
And excuse me, and you were never put up for planning board. You weren't on the agenda.
The people that were appointed were not on the agenda.
That's not my point.
Judy
My point
Boyke
is
was
you're-
on the agenda, and you two brought up different people, such as you accused Supervisor Aragano of bringing me up that wasn't on the agenda. You did the exact same thing. And to be honest with you, I'm sick and tired of coming to these meetings and listening to the bickering, the back and forth, and so on and so forth. We should all be professional and do what's in the best interest of the people of the town and not act like we do. You know, we should be professional. And when you got accused, I saw the anger, and he didn't directly say it. He gave 3 examples of what could have potentially happened. He never actually accused you. And I watched you. You were so angry that when you picked your drink up, you were shaking. How do you think Supervisor Aragano felt when you went on and made the decision back in September and then put it on the Town of Cicero Republican board, and then you put it on your Facebook that the mask is off? There's due process. The same thing happened to you that you accused him of. But yet you got so angry. Your face was red. Your hand was shaking when you were trying to hold your drink. Let's treat each other fair. Do the right thing for the people.
Thank you. Anyone else?
So if I believe everything I just heard, which I do, you said the law, you gave your opinion that you can change the law based on what you want and you want. This is interesting. So you're all Republicans and it's a dysfunctional board, just like he said. There has to be a change. You either change and become professional, or one or more of you has to leave. What I see, there's 2 town supervisors up there, one that's elected and one that's not. And that has to change.
Thank you. Anyone else? I'll come up, Mr. Mike, come on up.
Mike DeVero, Sneller Road. This is a different topic. I just want to, we have a nice crowd here. You guys were great yesterday in that workshop for the comprehensive plan. There was, a great exchange, great ideas. I appreciated that. And I appreciate that you took into consideration, the issues that I mentioned. And, for the people here, they had the town in their best interest last night with, with the comprehensive plan and the land use, the future land use. So thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
And I want to thank everybody who came last night to give their comments. And actually, it was a great meeting. It was a meeting that the board, a workshop, but we allowed the folks who showed up to comment, and we take those comments seriously. And I think everybody here would say it was a great meeting, and hopefully we can get the comprehensive plan finished up. And we're waiting for Colliers to finish it up and give it back to the board, and then hopefully we can put it to a vote, public hearing, and then vote on it, which would be great. The South Bay Road Bridge will be closing here in another few weeks. If you're not aware of that, the South Bay Road Bridge over by Drivers Village, it will be only a northbound lane, going northbound. There will be no southbound traffic. There'll be detour signs up. So that'll be closed. And then in another few months, the roundabout will start as soon as spring gets here. So we're in construction mode, and I just want to let everybody know that just bear with everything and things will work out. Okay. We will go ahead.
I did have something else to add. I know there's a lot of attitudes and beliefs here, and I personally would like to take agenda item 2, the 3 minutes off the agenda. I mean, it's your agenda, Mr. Supervisor. We don't really follow the 3-minute rule, so I feel like we should take it off. I've been a part of a couple boards. This board, I believe, allows the most public input that I've ever been a part of. There are many towns that don't allow you to come up and speak, which again, I'm vehemently, I'm not against that. You're taxpayers. This is your meeting. You absolutely have the right to come up here and speak. I was never for the 3 minutes. We don't follow the 3 minutes. I implore you, Mr. Supervisor, to just take that off if you so choose.
I think you either got to take it off or you got to have a timer and enforce it on everybody.
Well,
I've seen one person really timed, and anytime anyone else has brought up the timing, there's been protests from so I think you either need to have a timer so that people can see how much time they have, or we need to not have it. It's one or the other. I think we can't do it the way we've been doing it.
I think these meetings have gotten completely out of control and unprofessional, and so I disagree. I think that we are open to communicating at any time. This isn't the only time that we can be communicated with as a board, especially you, Mr. Bacallo. You make yourself very available to all residents. So I think that there should be some professionalism and some order to the meeting. So I would disagree with that.
Okay, I will make that decision, and we'll have it at our next board meeting. We will be going in the executive session tonight, and we'll reconvene when we get done. So at this time, no reconvening? Okay, no? Okay. Move for the adoption resolution of the town board.
We need to go. I mean, we don't need to go in executive session if we're going to meet with you for legal advice anyway, right? We can just.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So move for the adoption resolution of the town board entering into executive session for legal advice related to discussion of an employee's history of a particular person. And we're going to invite our town attorney in that meeting.
Second.
A very exciting time, right, Mr. Germain?
Will not be reconvening, correct?
Yeah, we'll reconvene. Why not? It'll be a little bit.
You didn't miss anything.